and welcome back to the most amazing top 10 channel on the internet. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we are talking all about the top 10 scary places in China you shouldn't visit alone. Shall we laugh as I try and pronounce some of the Chinese names? Before we get into this video, I want to ask you guys, what is the scariest place that you've ever been alone? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, while you're down there, why don't you like this video and share it with a friend? And if you guys want to connect with me on social media, then there is a link to my Instagram in the description box. Okay, coming in at number 10, we have the Suicide Mall. The Luan Plaza in Guangzhou has been dubbed the Suicide Mall because of the spate of deaths that have happened in there over the past 15 years. While over a dozen of these deaths have been ruled as suicide, some people swear that a supernatural force has pushed people over the railings and into the concourse. Weirdly, the mall's name in Chinese symbols looks a lot like the word for corpse, and a lot of locals consider the shopping centre to be cursed. Why is it cursed? Well, it all boils down, like it so often does, to an ancient burial ground. When the mall was built, it seems that the construction team unearthed 8 empty coffins and a Qing dynasty sacrificial chamber. Taoist priests later came in to examine the site and told developers that coffins were brought in to deter evil spirits, and they would have continued to ward off evil had they not been disturbed, but they were. Now strange noises and death plagues the mall, so probably wouldn't fancy popping there for a spot of solo shopping. Often hailed as the most dangerous place in China, at number 9 we have the East HUANG Glass Walk. The bridge in the HUANG Mountains is both thrilling and terrifying. The glass platform is 3,800 feet in the air and is affixed to the mountainside. If you had vertigo, you would not be feeling so great standing on this glass-bottomed walkway staring down into the abyss. There are videos of people literally freaking out as they walk over the bridge. Fear and panic sets in, but even worse, the bridge features a joke cracking effect that's caused people to heavily freak out. Not only that, the cracking effect comes with sound that would really get me. A lot of people have hailed the effect as extremely cruel and dangerous, but China doesn't care. Coming into number 8, we have the Dalinger test sites. Not that you could get anywhere near it, but Dalinger County is home to a worrying nuclear test site. 12 years ago, Dalinger was totally out of limits to foreigners. These days you can go there, but the bases in the northern reaches of the country are army patrolled. Even if they weren't, you really wouldn't fancy wading into a nuclear wasteland. There are 36 launch pads in and around Dalinger. Coming into number 7, we have the North Korean border. The North Korean border is a dangerous place to be for obvious reasons, and it would be even scarier if you were alone. There are some reports that the Chinese military might be up to something over there too. Border regions are always sensitive places to be, but the river that separates China and North Korea at Dedong is particularly so because it's so small. As a non-Asian, you may encounter some issues at the area. While the Dedong and Bridge of Friendship area is safe enough for careful tourists, there are some parts of the China-North Korea border which are not very well defined. Accidentally strolling into North Korean territory is a genuine risk. Coming into number 6, we have the Lotus Pond. The Lotus Pond in the University of Hong Kong looks like a place I would love to visit. It's beautiful. I can imagine sitting here and doing some quiet reflection. I'd probably be alright doing this, but if you're a man, you shouldn't ever come here alone. The pond is at the centre of a ghost story involving a lost love. A young couple who would meet by the pond planned to run away together. The girl arranged to meet her love by the pond at midnight, and they were about to start their journey, only he didn't show up. As she headed home, worried and devastated, she saw her boyfriend with another girl. She burst into tears, and in her anguish she threw herself into the pond and drowned. To this day, if a man is walking alone by the pond at midnight, he should be very careful. If he sees a girl, he shouldn't talk to her, as the story goes that the girl's ghost appears after the stroke of 12 and looks to drag men into a watery grave if they engage with her. Coming into number 5, we have Chennai number 81. This terrifying building is located in Beijing and is at the center of a lot of mysticism. The building is sometimes known as the Chennai Church, and it is thought that it used to be used for religious purposes before it was taken over by the communists. The house used to be owned by a Nationalist Party officer, but he then fled to Taiwan, leaving his wife. She in turn hung herself at the home, and her screams are said to be heard wailing out to this day. Again, to this day, the house, which is supposed to be prime real estate, is abandoned and overgrown with ivy. Why? Some say that a number of those who have entered the house have simply not left. guessing you absolutely don't want to go here alone. This scary house was the setting for a Chinese horror film in 2014 called The House That Never Dies. Rightio then. Coming into number 4, we have the tomb of Qin Shi Huang. The tomb of the former Chinese emperor Qin Shi Huang was discovered when the Terracotta Army was unearthed. The emperor was largely considered to be the first ever emperor of China, having unified 6 fighting states. His death in 210 BC was a big deal, and he entered the afterlife with terracotta replicas of his army, his horses, his family, and his servants. The Terracotta Army was discovered in 1974 in Xi'an and was a pretty special place. It's a great place to visit, but definitely very eerie. The thing is that the actual mausoleum, the burial chamber of the emperor, is out of bounds, and it always has been. The Chinese government simply will not let you in. Now, excavations are banned, and if you were caught there, you would have to answer to armed guards. Beyond that, who knows what spooks lay in wait. It is said that the earth near the tomb is also booby-trapped. On top of that, we all know what happened when the Egyptian tombs were opened. You don't want to be dealing with that level of pestilence, especially not alone. Coming into number 3, we have Subway Line 1. In Beijing, I would be pretty terrified to ride Subway Line 1 alone. The line was first constructed in 1965, and its build was fraught with accidents, including broken equipment and injury or death to workers. It seems that the original build disturbed souls whose graves were disturbed as construction was taking place. As a result, monks were brought in to pacify the spirits. The monks promised the spirits that the metro would close before 11 PM, as it said the dead really like resting between 11 and 1 AM. Right. Honestly, is this just the government's way of taking night trains off the menu? To add spookiness to an already potentially haunted situation, there are 4 ghost stations along Subway Line 1, 2 of which are located in a military region. An abandoned station on a haunted train line. Honestly, rather you than me. Coming into number 2, we have the Forbidden City. China's Forbidden City is said to be deeply haunted. The Forbidden City is an imperial palace from the Ming dynasty to the Qing dynasty. The World Heritage Landmark gets its name from a time when public entrance was forbidden except for the members of the imperial family. The complex has seen some ghastly things over the years, including numerous executions and murders. Since 1925, the Forbidden City has slowly been opening up to visitors, and now 75% of it is available for viewing. However, there are still some secret rooms and courtyards that you're not allowed to visit. The chances of you being alone in the day in the city are pretty slim, seeing as there's around 16 million people visit every year, but at night, well, that's a scarier time altogether. Night staff have reported some terrifying things going on, including strange animals, ghosts, dogs, ghost dogs as well, menacing presences, and a weeping woman in white. I honestly really wouldn't fancy being alone here at night. Finally, coming into number 1, we have the Gobi Desert. The Gobi Desert borders China and Mongolia and is not a place to be visited solo. Aside from deserts being stressful places for solo trips anyway because of the harsh elements and the isolation, this desert is in particular pretty extreme. It's said to be home to the legendary Mongolian deathworm, which doesn't sound like a thing I want to party with. The Mongolian deathworm first came to light in the West when explorer and naturalist Roy Chapman Andrews wrote about his expedition into the Gobi in 1926. It's said to be between 2 and 5 feet long, so up to 1.5 meters. Reports have said it's supposed to be shaped like a sausage with neither head nor tail. It's poisonous and touching it could induce death. Not only that, some accounts say that the worm spews deadly sulfuric acid and emits a strangely deadly electrical charge. Venturing into a desert on your own is a bad idea, but how would you face the Mongolian deathworm solo? So guys, that was the top 10 scary places in China you shouldn't visit alone. Which did you think was the scariest? What's the scariest place that you've ever visited? Do let me know in the comment section down below. But before I go, I just want to read some comments from a recent video I did, which was all about scarier Ouija board stories. Carrie Ann said, "I'm pretty tough cookie and I don't scare easily, but I could never do an Ouija board. No chance, it really scares me. Honestly, I feel the same. I don't want to mess with that." Recording My Reacting said, "I love your videos. Me and my sister love your videos. We watched top top priority every day. We watch them every Friday too. That is, every day. Your videos are so interesting and gave me some good stories for Halloween. Keep up the good work. Delaney Zadin said, I've never used an Ouija board, but I do have a creepy story about one. I was living in Sweden and I got a Skype call from my mum. She said there was a package for me addressed to my US address. She asked if I'd ordered anything. I hadn't, so I asked her to open it and show me what it was. It was a themed Ouija board. There was no return address. Both me and my mum freaked out, and I thought that maybe a friend had sent it as a joke for Christmas. Nope. None of my friends had sent it. I don't know where it came from or who sent it. I've never used it because I've heard stories of things happening. So it sat in a drawer for 4 years until recently I gave it away to another friend of mine who actually wanted it. Wow, what a story. Oh my goodness. The highs, the lows. So guys, thanks again for watching this video. Do leave me a comment. I love reading them out. Do make sure you leave a thumbs up and share this video with a friend. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate and I will see you next time.